Hello and happy Thursday, everyone. My name is Diana Kennedy, and I'm your host for today's iHomeschool Network, iHomeschool Hangout. For the summer, we have decided to take a little bit of a switch from homeschooling topics and chat about wellness and fitness, any kind of health and fitness topics for families like us with busy moms, so we can take care of ourselves and our families. Today, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about sugar, our weaknesses when it comes to sugar, and how we can break sugar addictions and cure some sugar cravings. I have a fantastic lineup of guests here with me today that I'm just thrilled to be with. But I'm not working with the iHomeschool Network. You can find me at thekennedyadventures.com, where I talk about life with a big family, share my Catholic homeschooling resources, and talk a little bit about fitness and hoping to get back into that a little bit more this fall. Joining me from California today is Christy. Christy, tell us about yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Christy. I'm joining you from my local coffee shop because my husband needed internet at home today. So you might hear some fun techno music. I blog at christyhostel.com and sandyfeetmedia.com is where I design.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being with us today. Marlene Griffith is here with me again, having things to run smoothly. Marlene?
Hey guys, excited to be here. I blog at adiligent.heart.com. You can find me over there most of the time. I'm excited to be here to chat with you guys about fighting the sugar addiction. I think we all have our struggles with that, so I'm eager to hear what everyone has to say.
All righty. Thanks, Marlene. Sam Kelly's here with us today. Sam?
Hi everybody, I'm Sam Kelly. I blog over at Sam's Noggin, and I mostly blog about faith, family, homeschooling, and fitness.
Selena's here with us again today. Selena?
Hey everyone, my name is Selena Robinson and I blog at Look We're Learning. Our blog mostly covers homeschooling, but we also cover parenting topics. And in our homeschool adventures, we typically focus on unit studies, Black history, and foreign language.
Excellent. Thanks for being with us here again today. When we were brainstorming earlier in the year about topics to discuss with regard to wellness and fitness, health for homeschooling families, Marlene and I had to regretfully admit that a lot of the things that we struggle with come with in lines with food. Sugar can be a weakness for myself, for Marlene, she's laughing. For lots of homeschooling parents, you may fight it with your children as well. I know my kids have a gigantic sweet tooth, which they probably came by very honestly. So we'll talk a little bit today about kind of what our downfalls are, how we manage to kind of work around it, ideas that may help you, and just basically just kind of commiserate that kind of we're all in this together. I know Sam's got some great things to share too, so we'll just kind of break it down the line. I want to hear from each of our girls. What is your primary weakness when it comes to sugar? Like, are you, I'm not picking on Christy, are you addicted to coffee drinks? Because when I ran, that was my reward, was a great big, vanilla bean frap. So I just blew whatever calories I burned, the hour before, drinking it up in a sugar drink. Or do you love cookies, cakes, that kind of thing? I'm going to pick on Selena first. And let us share your weakness with us. What really is a stumbling block for you?
My problem is any kind of soft baked good, and it's almost an emotional connection that I have with them. When I take a bite of a donut, for example, when you take the first bite and the donut kind of fits around your cheeks right here, it's like the food is hugging you back. And that's how I feel when I bite into it. It's like biting into a very sweet pillow that's also hugging me. So anything like that, cakes, donuts, the black and white cookies, like the New York style black and white cookies, that kind of thing is a real problem for me.
I think you described it perfectly because we do. Okay, Sam might be able to chime in a little bit with me on this one in a second. It's like a dopamine effect. Trust me, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, so I'm just kind of talking off the cuff here. But a lot of those same kind of receptors, it's a pleasure receptor. So food for some of us meets pleasure receptors, and just like you said, oh my gosh, and that would be hard. That would be a hard thing to fight if it evokes such a visceral response in you, like, hey, this is fantastic. Me, I'm kind of like, I eat a donut. Yeah, it's good, but I'm not that connected with it. You know what I mean? Sam, what's your stumbling block?
Oh, I love pie or apple crisp with ice cream and caramel. If it's hot, I can't say no. So that's definitely for me the big thing. Yeah, I love sweet tea, and that one I just kind of cave to once a day because I know if I don't let myself have it, I'm gonna go like crazy. So we try to make the tea less sweet than we used to drink it, and I limit myself to once a day. So that works for me, knowing that I'm allowed one.
We're going to talk about that too. I'm glad you brought that up because we'll talk about kind of how we manage. And I'm in your camp on that one. I think if you totally restrict yourself to no sugar whatsoever, I tend to be like you. And guess what? I'd be sneaking it in my bedside drawer because the kids actually will tell on me because I like candy after they go to bed at night. And they find the wrappers the next day, and they'll tell Brett, hey, Daddy, Mom was eating candy last night, and not like I'm not hiding it per se. Like I'm not like I'm not stealing candy, hiding it. I don't want to share it there. So if I eat it by myself, then I don't have to share it with share it with anybody. And then everybody's going, yeah, I know, because if you open a candy wrapper in your house in view of your children, you will be sharing it, bar none. All right, Marlene, what about you?
My biggest weak spot is actually the same thing that Selena said, donuts, but it's chocolate covered donuts. And there's something about the chocolate with that really soft baked goodness that just it just makes me cave. I can't say no to it for some reason.
It's probably a good thing you don't work in an office. People are like
Yes.
bringing in donuts all the time. That's always a big kicker at work because people will bring in things for breakfast or we'll have pitch in for lunch sometimes, and people will always bring something sweet, and you're like, ugh. And that reminds me, I'm going to get to a point in a little bit about get-togethers and sweets, kind of how we can say no there. Christy, what about you?
What isn't my sweet spot? I love like everything. One thing I can resist is coffee, and sometimes I can resist soda. But if I'm somewhere and I don't drink diet, so if there's a soda available, I'm drinking full-on Coke. And if there's cherry Coke, there's no saying no. I can't say no to cherry Coke. So those two can be tough. And then really, seriously, anything sweet, cookies, chocolate chips, donuts. And the biggest problem is I don't have a shut-off valve. I can't eat like a cookie or a whatever. I just want to eat them all. And I like to eat them at night too when the kids go to bed because I am not sharing. And ice cream. See, I like ice cream too. Yeah, pretty much everything.
I have to laugh. We have a Moe's. Moe's is like a Mexican restaurant chain. I don't know if you guys have them all over or not, but they have what I call the magical Coke machine. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's a Coke machine, and you have all these different flavors, and it has all these different. Look, Chrissy's like, oh my gosh, they have all these different syrups, so you can like make a peach Sprite. Oh my word, or a cherry Coke, or a vanilla cherry Coke, or vanilla Dr. Pepper. I mean, it's like crazy town. So that's like a treat for us. Probably not the best treat in the world, but like if we're gonna be out and about, like we'll go to Moe's with the magical Coke machine because I'm entertained and so are my kids. Cheap sugar-laden drinks. It's terrible. And I'm glad that you mentioned willpower, or saying not having a shut-off valve. I get to pick on Sam just a tiny bit. I'm not picking. I'm putting her on the spot. She has an amazing amount of willpower, which I admire. So I'm going to get her to start off with this question for us. Let's talk about kind of tips that we're using to cut back on sugar in your diet, because like we've discussed, I think probably most of us are on the same page that if we just cut it out altogether, I think, I'm not saying it's not healthy, trust me. I'm just saying that mentally that would be very difficult for me, and I would be more on the, okay, I haven't had sugar in 2 weeks. I'm going to now binge completely and ruin all the good work that I've done. So let's talk about how you're cutting sugar out of your diet or cutting back, and I'm going to have Sam start actually.
I think that for me the most important thing is just, it's funny, are we in an AA meeting, is knowing that that is an issue for me. I know that if I limit myself so restrictively that it's going to turn into that. I've done it before. I've done the Atkins plans before, and you drop weight so quickly and so immediately, but I never have any energy. I'm always really weak. I need those carbs. I have generally low blood sugar anyway. So when I go on something like that, I just feel absolutely sick. And so knowing that I don't want to go that direction, but knowing that eating too much of it gives me results that I don't want to see, I kind of try to just realize that that is an issue for me, and I plan ahead. So I know that once a week I'm going to let myself treat myself. Like last night after I ran, I had apple pie. But I had one piece of it, and you know, I let my husband monitor the ice cream scoop and things like that, because you know, you can always go back in and get a second scoop or whatever, but that's not what you need. So making sure that it's limited, that there's not restriction there, but that you're following a pre-designed guideline. For me, probably my biggest issue has been at work, because I get the low blood sugar and I get to my break at work and it's time to eat, and I've run low on sugar, and the first thing I see is a Snickers bar. And so I'll eat that, but then I have the crash afterwards because it's not what I need. And so I plan ahead, and that's my biggest defense. I have more willpower when I know that in my locker there are better choices for me, or the refrigerator at work, that I have taken those things and I don't have to say, okay, I have $1 in my pocket, let me get this candy bar and let me feel better. So planning ahead and knowing my issues has been the biggest help for me personally.
Absolutely. I love that you shared that. Because I'm thinking she's got a great link over in the event page, or a great post over in the event page if you go over and take a look about kind of how she kind of plans her day a little bit. And you're exactly right. If you're caught off guard, I used to do this when I was pregnant with the twins. I had a cooler, no lie, like a small, like little personal size cooler in the car packed full of stuff, because like you suffered now, when I was pregnant, my sugar, sugar would drop, blah, blah, blah. And you're right, I wanted to eat whatever I could get my hands on quickly. So by having those things available, you're exactly right. You won't make bad choices. My husband, my friends laugh at me at work because I carry like this big 31 tote bag full of food to work, because there's a deli, or what do you call it, coffee shop type thing, right across the hallway. And I know that if I don't take things with me to work, then I'll march right across the hall and go get, whatever yuck choices there are, like Diet Coke. But it's all about the planning. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Christy or Marlene or Selena, do you guys have any other tips about how you're cutting sugar back in your diet?
Yeah, for me, I actually had to get Drastic. I had to, because I worried that I was getting close to prediabetes. I really worried about it. It's in our family. I'm already very short, so I can't get too careless with my weight. And it was just getting to where it was a daily thing. I was getting these black and white cookies every day, and then drinking Coke every day and all that. And it's just, I did some research about how much sugar we're supposed to actually be eating and how much I was eating, and it was frightening to find that out. So in January, I did no sugar month. And I still had sugar in my coffee, but I didn't eat any cakes. I didn't eat any sweets. I didn't drink any soda. I didn't drink any fruit juice. I still ate like pasta and things like that, but like white sugar, sweets, my weaknesses, I didn't have them at all the whole month. And I was okay until about day 21. Then I started to kind of crack, but I didn't. I posted about it on Facebook very publicly, And a lot of my Facebook friends were like, no, don't give in, you're almost there. So I made it through the whole month. And then the next month, I found that I didn't really want them that much. I didn't really want a black and white cookie until the end of February, and I had one. And then I didn't really want another one for a while. And I was okay until about April, when the semester was kind of getting to a close, and I had a lot of work deadlines, and then I went ballistic again. So then I did another no sweet month in May. And since then, I've been a little more measured. And now my rule is I'll eat sweets, but I will only eat them after I've eaten a plate of fresh vegetables. If I still want it after that, then okay, I really want it. But generally, after I eat a plate of fresh vegetables and maybe some almonds, like we were saying earlier, then I usually don't want it. So that's what's working for me right now.
Excellent. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I tend to think about things like everything in moderation. To me, a little bit's okay. You made allowances for yourself with the coffee, that sort of thing. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, we discussed about this in the green room before we got started about how I mentioned that if I was craving sugar, if I eat more protein, that tends to help. And I love how you mentioned that you make sure you're eating. It's a reward for good behavior. Again, it's a behavior modification thing. You know, you're going to eat this. Think about it. Do I really want it? Instead of a mindless, it's kind of like plop. It's going to go in my mouth. You know, whatever. So, all right, Christy. What about you? Do you have tips for cutting stuff out?
I'm a little bit like Selena. I have to get really extreme, and I think a lot of your sugar intake kind of depends on your personality. After I had my most recent baby, I was heavy, and it was my 5th baby, and I was sick of having that post-pregnant just body, and I went really extreme, and I cut out all sugar, but not for 30 days. Just I find like 7 days really helps, or as long as I can make it without some kind of big event, you know, and if I'm really good at it and I follow some guidelines that I've found that work really well, I find I do a little detoxing. My body, after about day 3, I feel really gross and disgusting, and then I get better. But then after that, whatever amount of days it is, I'm really able to think about how I feel when I eat stuff. And it's like Selena said, I didn't crave it as much. And then if I ate maybe a big piece of cake or something at a party, I would note, I really feel, ugh, I don't feel good. And then I start remembering those feelings, but it doesn't happen if I've just been sugar, 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 sugar. So over the holidays, I was just like crazy. And then so I find that I kind of have to do what Selena did too, is periods of, 7 days or 30 days or whatever with no sugar. And that kind of helps my body remember, how I feel when I haven't had sugar, and then when I eat a big piece of sugar, how I feel after that. Now I just finished kind of one of those periods, and I keep I don't know if at your Costco, they have these huge bags of chocolate chips, like huge. And I buy one of those and I keep them in my freezer, and then throughout the day, if I'm just like, I know it's emotional for me, if I'm just and I need something, I can grab a small handful of chocolate chips and not be breaking the bank, not feel gross afterwards, and not be totally regretting that I had any sugar. Or I can throw them in my yogurt, or I can put them on, I put peanut butter and an apple, and then I put a few chocolate chips on it. And it just gives me just enough to feel like, okay, it's not out of control. So those are some things. And then the other thing is I bought stevia. And if I can handle, like, I can put it in some iced tea, it's not too fake feeling, or I put it in my smoothie just to sweeten it, and I can get through without sugar. That's like a little cheat that I have. But I don't put it in everything. I can't bake with it.
She actually did a lead in to to my next 2 points without even knowing about it. I love the idea of putting chocolate chips in your yogurt. You said that, and Selena was nodding her head. And I'm like, oh, that sounds delicious. I love that idea. How come I've never thought about that before? But good. I'm glad you mentioned the whole peanut butter and apple thing. And let me talk real quick. kids, are your kids like sugar fiends? Are they just like take it or leave it? What do you guys have to say about that? I know mine are pretty much sugar hounds, but I think it's just
We've
because
never
they're
really
little.
given our kids much sugar. Um, I was trying to save them from being like me. So our oldest daughter didn't have cake or cookies until she was probably 4, and we were at a party. So she didn't really know what she was missing. They don't drink soda. We don't really drink soda in our house at all. I was the only one really drinking it. We give them juice, but we usually cut it with water. And they get, when they have sweets, it's usually like animal crackers or maybe an oatmeal cookie, that kind of thing, because they're already very active. If I was to give them like the kind of stuff I was eating, oh my goodness, we wouldn't get any school done, and they wouldn't sleep, and I would be eating even more sugar because I would be so stressed out. So they get sweets, but it's on a rare basis. Usually we give them a lot of fruit with their meals, and that usually does the trick for them.
I'm so proud of you that you managed to stay sugar cake free until they were 4. My good friend, I call her my good friend. I really just she's a role model for me. Katie from Kitchen Stewardship. Hey, Katie, I'm gonna give you a big shout out here. She wrote this amazing article not long ago about how she was just appalled at snacks and sugary treats and blah blah that we constantly push on our kids. And if you've got kids that are in sports, you know what I'm talking about. Every practice, or every game, maybe not every practice, but at the end of every game, they always get a snack, and the snack is always, a Capri Sun or Swedish fish. I'm sort of okay with Swedish fish. That doesn't mind me too bad, but it's generally Swiss cake rolls. It says always like it's sure this big article about like what were we doing to our kids? We were applying them with completely unnecessary sugar, and teaching them that sort of teaching them that hard work is rewarded by food. So you don't want to go there either. So I love the article. I think she got a lot of flack about it, but I thought it was fantastic. We do that with a Scouting Troop that we're involved in, American Heritage Girls. I am the nerd mother that brings the fruit and vegetable tray, a fruit tray or a vegetable tray. Usually, like if we're like bring snacks, that's what I bring. And I've gotten kind of some ribbing from some of the parents, but you know what? It's empty when I go home. So the kids are eating it, and that's my belief. Like we do have cookies and things in the pantry, not that much. We kind of limit it to like we call those things graham crackers, cookies or ice cream sandwiches are a treat, and it's after dinner. You have to eat X amount of vegetables. We're pretty vigilant about that. And like Selena, my kids run and run and run and run. So it's not so much a weight issue that I'm concerned about. It's just the fact that they just don't need it. So that's kind of what we do. We, like Selena, we do loads and loads of fruit, especially this time of year. My refrigerator is filled with strawberries and blackberries and all these different things. So, Sam, talk to me about your kids and kind of what you do with them as far as nutrition and sugar and that sort of thing.
Well, before I went through my whole weight loss thing, we used to have dessert every night. So sometimes the kids were like, "Oh, remember when, So we try to make sure that there's one dessert every week, just because that is, they like when mom makes a dessert. But once a week, I figure, who's that going to hurt, really? They're very active. We have a park nearby us now, and we walk there, ride our bikes there, and the kids, do their thing and run around the house or run around outside or go play at the park and all of that. So I'm not concerned about their level of activity. But we also do not keep soda in the house. If we go out to eat, that's kind of a special thing. I always try to get them to either choose sweet tea, lemonade, or like a non-caffeinated beverage, just because I know since we don't drink it, if they have like a Pepsi or something, they're going to go a little bit off the wall. We have a no questions asked, no Mountain Dew. policy. And it's funny because if they go out to eat with someone else, they try to sneak it and then they get told on. So we keep some treats in the house, but we try to make sure that they have some kind of nutrition. Oats and honey granola bars, yogurt, lots of fresh fruits, graham crackers we'll buy. So, gone are the days where we used to bring home different kinds of chocolate chip cookies and Oreos and stuff for their snacks. Their snacks, if they have any sweetness to it, it's not going to be the rich, it just leads to problems, even since I went through all of that, I no longer, my biggest weakness used to be cake, like birthday cake, and now it's something that I don't even want. Like, it's just so over the top, gross, too much sugar at one time. And I'm like, how did I used to be like, oh, I'll have a piece of cake and then I'll have another piece of cake? How could I even handle that? So I think that my kids, I can tell now, they are not, it used to be get the extra roses on the birthday cake because they want that extra sugar, and now they're like, no, scraping off icing, there's too much of it. And so I can see that their tastes are changing now too, which makes me very, very happy.
Well, don't you think that it's being in tune with your body? Okay, you've learned, like Christy and Selena alluded to, by taking some of that stuff out of your diet, you've learned how it makes you feel, and it's just not worth, the dragging and perhaps the irritability. I don't take it out of my diet enough to know where the difference is, but I mean, I do know that if I eat too much, I'm kind of nauseated. That's about it. I'm sure if I did some kind of a cleanse, or detox, I would probably notice more things that would be positive. But yeah, as the kid, and here's my thing with the kids, they're going to eat what you put in your house. So if you don't stock your pantry with a bunch of garbage, then they're not going to eat it.
Right. If what they have at their disposal is healthier snacks or vegetables or fruits, that's what they're going to eat, and they're going to get accustomed to it. I have realized since I took those things out of my diet that I don't crave them as much as I would have thought that I would, and that they usually don't hold anything over me. Now to think about going to work and grabbing a Snickers bar, I think, oh, too sweet. I'm going to feel so tired afterwards, and I'm going to get cranky. And so if you take those things out of your diet, you're not going to crave them like you do. It's so strange, because I notice when I get in patterns like that, when I stop working out for a time or something and I start eating those unhealthy foods, the more I eat them, the more that I crave them. And when I let them go, I don't need them anymore.
Excellent. All right. Let's share some how about, like, what are there foods that surprise you with hidden sugars? Like, if you're a label reader like me, sometimes you'll be surprised at the things that have sugar in them, because I'm like, what is that about? Canned soup will have sugar in it, which just blows me away. Have you ever, because Selena's nodding and laughing, like, are there things that you found that have sugar in it that you were just like completely blown away?
Salty snacks. I had no idea.
Sugar? I didn't.
Some of them, like, I want to say it's Cheez-Its, but maybe not that brand, but something like that. You look on the back and it has corn syrup. And I would think, what, I don't even taste anything in here. Is this in here just so we'll start craving it, or some chips have sugar in them. Sometimes just plain sugar, and then sometimes it's corn syrup. And you're right, when you start reading labels, you'll see high fructose corn syrup in almost every processed food there is, even if it doesn't taste sweet. So that was surprising to me. That's what I was saying before about finding out how much sugar I actually was eating, even in things that I didn't realize were sugary. So that was very eye-opening.
That's a good point. We try to avoid high fructose corn syrup as much as we can. And you brought up a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that about, is this stuff here just to kind of keep bringing us back for more kind of thing. A lot of sauces I've noticed. Like marinades, like for the stuff for the grill, that kind of thing. Trust me, I'm not like a complete whole natural food person, and because I'm a little busy. But the more that you cook from home, and I think Christy and Sam will agree with me on that too. The more that you cook things yourself and kind of make your own stuff, the more control you have over the sugar that is there. That's my whole thing. You know, what about how about snacks that if you're craving something sweet, like or you like your favorite snacks that satisfy your sugar craving. How about that? I'm gonna pick on Christy because she mentioned the whole peanut butter and apple thing, which I haven't gotten my kids to get on that bandwagon yet.
Oh, you gotta. I mean, I have one child that doesn't eat a lot of, he's not into sugar, but the rest of them will eat sugar in any form, whatever. But I find that if I like to have ice cream at night when I go to bed, and my husband has been substituting his, like I said, with yogurt. He'll do yogurt and fruit, and I don't care for that, but I get the Greek yogurt, and then I'll put in the chocolate chips, like I said, but honestly, I like that for breakfast. And then with some strawberries in it or something. But still, if you start with that and you have, some Greek yogurt with some strawberries, you almost don't need sweetener. And if you wanted to throw in a few chocolate chips, that just kind of helps not crave more, like pancakes or, because my husband makes pancakes for the kids a lot and stuff like that. But like I said, at night, I like to eat ice cream. And even though the yogurt treat doesn't help me, but what helps me is the apples and peanut butter. I'll do apples and peanut butter and then the chocolate chips on top. And if I have that, if I think I really want ice cream, but if I get the apples out and I do that, I'm really good. I'm pretty satisfied. I had my chocolate, and I don't really feel like I'm missing anything. So, and then I'm trying to think what else helps me. Also, what helps me is trail mix. Just getting trail mix with maybe, a few chocolate things in it, right? So I still let myself have the sweets, but whereas before it might be grabbing a cookie or grabbing a brownie or graham crackers with something yummy on top. Now it's, like a handful of almonds and cashews with a couple of things of chocolate. That's a big difference. And then, of course, when I'm doing the detoxes, I don't have that. But those are some little things that just help me kind of get through from, one meal to the next. And then, of course, if I'm eating lots of vegetables and protein at my meals, then I'm not craving as much anyway. Those are more my coping snacks, I guess.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with coping.
That's right.
Sam, what about you or Selena? You guys have any snacks to share?
I love to eat fruit, especially like after a workout. I know that's going to make my sugar come down when I run or do other workouts that require a lot of energy. So that's how I sometimes get into my rut. If I don't eat like a banana right after my workout, then I'm going to crash soon afterwards, but I'm going to forget it's because I did my workout and forgot my fruit. So I like to eat a piece of fruit, and I like to keep things like that and nuts in my locker at work. Nuts, they help me too. That little bit of protein that I can just grab and go with is always good for me too.
Awesome. Selena, what about you?
Lately, I've been doing sliced strawberries with whipped cream on top. I saw that on a commercial, and if you just do the one time around like that, it's like 15 calories. So that's not bad. So I slice the strawberries, and I do the little thing around one time, and I put chopped pecans on top, and that's what I've been eating for maybe the last week or so, late in the evening. Because I used to eat ice cream too, but we were vegan for about 6 months, a couple of years back, and I stopped eating dairy during that time, and then I could never really go back to eating it. It made me feel sick.
Okay.
So that fixed my ice cream craving there, because I would feel so sick afterward. I didn't want it. So now fresh fruit with the whipped cream is working, and then I also like some of these little pop chips, kind of like pita chips, kind of, but they're made with popcorn. And they'll do a kettle corn one that is just mwah. So I'll get those, but I have to dump them out the bag, my serving out of the bag, and then take it into another room so I don't just sit there and keep eating them.
You're making me laugh because you mentioned the thing with the strawberries and the chopped pecans. Like the whole panel went, "What? Hello?" We're all like, "Yeah, that sounds fantastic." That sounds delicious. I love strawberries. We do a lot. Oh my gosh, so much fresh fruit in the summer, and that sounds wonderful. All right, I'm gonna do like one more quick question, and then I think we'll wrap it up. What about, do you use things in place of white sugar? Like, I know here at our house we do a lot of we do honey a lot. Um, we've tried things like agave nectar, I think. I know Marlene does stevia, or somebody did stevia. I thought it was Marlene. Um, that tends to give me a headache. I'm not an artificial sweetener kind of person. I just tend to use the pure cane sugar, like the sugar in the raw, like the great big kind of like the less refined sugar for me, the better, because I feel like it tastes stronger, so I tend to use less of it. Does that make sense? So what about you guys? What do you do?
I have stevia that I use every morning in my hot tea. And sometimes I'll mix it in with an unsweetened yogurt with some fruit. Like I use this Simply Fruit jam that
Yeah.
is just the fruit, and so I'll use a packet of, well, I use the brand Truvia, and I'll mix in a spoonful of that fruit jam, and so that makes a sweetened, less calorie yogurt for me. And so I'll use it in the morning with my tea and with things like that. And sugar in the raw I like too, but everything else I just use regular sugar, but just try to use less and do less of the sweets.
All right. Christy, what about you? Do you do something different? Oh, I
Um,
gotta
I
there we go.
sorry, I forgot to mute myself last time.
That's okay. You're good.
I use stevia. I actually, kind of a big wave right now on the online world is the Trim Healthy Mama,
Mhm.
and it's kind of a new way of eating that I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not. But anyway, I read a lot of their stuff and I kind of adapted some of it. And I do use stevia, but I don't love it for baking, but I use it like Sam for I make iced tea or I put it in oatmeal, and I started doing it for the kids too. And then we use maple syrup for the kids, especially maple syrup. I don't care for honey as much, but we use maple syrup and honey. They like it. And I use sugar as well for the baking, but I find the stevia works really nicely for if I'm having a smoothie with berries that's not very sweet, or yogurt, like Sam, pretty much all the things Sam said. And then, but I don't love it in large amounts. So that's what we do.
Selena, do you guys do something different besides the like I pronounced it stevia or honey or maple syrup? Anything else?
Right now we just use sugar, but I just don't really use much of it. I don't really bake from scratch much. I do muffin mix, which is terrible, but the kids like it. And right now, we're just trying to get back into the routine of me being at home because my husband just got another job after over a year. So we're kind of resettling back into our routine. But the muffin mixes are going to go once I get my routine back. When we were vegan, we used agave nectar when I cooked, and I loved it. I didn't taste any difference. It was very simple. There is a wonderful blog called Chocolate Covered Katie, which is all vegan desserts, and they are fantastic and not that complicated to make. And she uses agave nectar, occasionally maple syrup in her recipes. She's got some ice cream recipes that you can make, with those things instead of anything dairy. She's got some muffins and like cake batter pancakes and all these kinds of wonderful things that you can make without using white sugar. So definitely check that out if you're looking for a way to have your sweets without having so much refined sugar in them.
We'll show that over in the event room. I actually I did start making muffins from scratch. Trust me. Look, it's not that hard. I make up a big, what I call a master mix that I found somewhere on Pinterest. It does have sugar in it, but probably not as much as you would do, with the box mix kind of thing. And it's funny, my kids love it. Like they will ask me, "Can you make some lemon scratch muffins?" So that's what they call them. Like they're like lemon poppy seed, but in our house they're lemon scratch because Mom made them from scratch, and they get very excited. And like I said, not any less healthy. It's a muffin. How healthy can it be? But it is at least a little bit less sugar than probably in the box. Piece of cake. I'll send it to you. All right. I think we have covered everything. I had Marlene check the event room. I don't have any questions right there at the moment, but I'm thrilled that everybody's over there chit-chatting and sharing ideas. It'll be wonderful to go back and check out and see what's going on over there. I am thrilled once again to have this beautiful panel of ladies here with me today. I have so much fun chatting with my girls all over the country. It's been just a blessing each and every time we get together. I'm going to click on you and let you tell your URL again so people can find you. I want to remind our listeners and viewers to follow these folks on Google Plus because they share fantastic ideas from their sites. And then you can join us next week. We have more great stuff coming up over the summer. And then don't forget to check out the iHomeschool Network Google Plus page because I did see that someone shared the upcoming fall schedule as well with many, many, many fantastic topics coming up this fall. All right, Christy, tell folks where we can find you again.
I am at christyhustle.com, and then Sandy Feet Media is a design website.
All right, thank you. Marlene?
You guys can find me at adiligentheart.com.
All right, thanks so much. Sam Kelly?
You can find me at samsnoggin.com.
Selena Robinson?
Lookwe'relearning.com.
All right, and I'm Diana Kennedy. When I'm not with the iHomeschool Network, you can find me at the Kennedy Adventures.